my name is Sam and I'm the lead Pilates instructor for Return Pilates. I'm going to take you through our reformers, so whether you haven't used a reformer before or maybe haven't used this specific brand, I'm going to show you how it works, the different parts to it and a couple of safety tips as well. So this entire apparatus in front of me is the reformer. We have the Balance Body Allegro 2 reformers here. So we're going to begin by talking about the Carriage, which is this main grey bed you can see here. So it's made up of the bed and it comes up to 2 shoulder blocks here, and then it has the headrest above it. So we don't always have to put our shoulders and our head in those spots. Sometimes we can put other parts of the body depending on which exercise we are doing. So the way that the Carriage moves is that it glides up and it glides back down the rails of the reformer. Now, to move the Carriage, we often either push from the foot bar or we push from the platform. We can sometimes push just from standing on the ground, or we can use the straps which are on a pulley system to glide the Carriage up and down. So to determine the resistance on the Carriage, whether you're using the foot bar, the platform, the straps, or anything else, we have a spring system that sits below the Carriage that you will need to change yourself during classes, but the instructors are always going to be here to help you out with it as well. So we're going to take a closer look of our spring system here. So the springs do come from underneath the Carriage, and then there is little hooks that sit below the standing platform. So taking a closer look at our spring system here, you can see that there is 5 different springs to choose from. There are 3 red springs which are all equivalent to 1 heavy spring each. The blue spring is equivalent to 1 medium, and the yellow spring is equivalent to 1 light. You don't need to remember each spring resistance, but it is good to know how to change the springs yourself. So if you hold onto the spring, pull the spring forward so that the loop comes off of the hook, and then let the spring hang down. So pulling the spring forward, up and off. It is also important to note to ensure that you place your desired spring on first before changing any of the other springs. For example, if I want 1 blue spring, I'm going to put the blue spring on first before I take any of the other springs off. If I was to take off all of the other springs first, before putting the blue spring on, my Carriage would float away. So taking a closer look at our foot bar at the front of the reformer, we can adjust the position if we need it to sit higher or lower depending on what we're doing. So to adjust it, what you would do is hold the bar nice and wide, lift it up and out of place, and bring it higher or lower depending on what you need to do. And then just make sure it sits into place, give it a little shake to make sure it's secure for you to use. So utilizing the foot bar could look something similar to this. Depending on which exercise you're doing, I'm using my hands here, you can use your legs, you can use lots of different things to push away from the bar. So taking a look at our platform here, sometimes we can stand on it, sometimes we kneel, sometimes we can put arms on it, depending on what we're doing. But the biggest safety tip for standing up on the reformer is to always stand on the platform side first and not the Carriage side. Just in case the springs are light, you may risk slipping and sliding the Carriage away. So an example of this would be to stand up on the platform side first and then going onto the Carriage. Now we also do have poles in our studio as well to help you stay balanced as you do any standing work in this position. So having a look at the straps next, there are 2 straps that sit either side of the headrest. They slide out to the side off of the hooks so that you can use them. Now there is a short loop and a big loop. Your instructor will tell you which one that you need to use. So as you can see here, what you would do is pull the straps in towards you to glide your Carriage forwards and backwards. Again, depending on which position you're in, you can also use them laying on your back. So lying on your back, you would take the straps off to the side, up into your hands, onto your feet, whichever exercise you are doing, and then you can start to utilize the straps from there into your exercise. So if you haven't used a reformer before, or you're a little bit hesitant about using one, make sure you book yourself into our foundation class first, as we'll go through some of these things a little bit more in person. So hopefully this video has helped you to understand how the reformer moves a little bit better, and we can't wait to see you on the reformer in your next class.